Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right into this one. All right, I'm going to pull up this screen. Nobody's going to like it. Tayven Jackson has entered the portal. Houston, we have a problem.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yep, everybody was expecting him to compete for the job, starting job with Joe Milton and Nico, and that he would either be the backup or the second backup, or who knows, maybe he'd surprise us and he'd ball out. But obviously, he's not seen it that way. This is not a huge shock because, look, Joe Milton played great in the Orange Bowl, which, you know, that kind of silenced a lot of the critics out there. And even the folks that were on the fence like myself, you know, I was like, hey, you know, he played really well. You know, he didn't play Hendon Hooker well, but he played darn close. 251 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. You know, there was some 3 and outs that were unfortunate. And he needs to work on his running skills. But Joe Milton, he played really well under a ton of pressure. So I was real proud of his performance. And he was the MVP. So our understanding is, and let's look at this article, and this is an Indiana website, Fan Nation Hoosiers Now. Tayven Jackson enters transfer portal, visiting Indiana. It says Tennessee quarterback Jackson, the younger brother of Indiana basketball star forward Trace Jackson, has entered the transfer portal. He is in Bloomington, Indiana for Saturday's Indiana versus Wisconsin game. There's mutual interest between Jackson and Indiana. He said, I love Indiana. It's always home. He says, me and Coach Allen are going to the men's basketball game tomorrow against Wisconsin to talk ball. And he was great in high school. He was undefeated in the Class 6A and won the state championships. And he was 329 for 547 for 4,847 touchdowns. He was the number 198th player in the country, a 4-star quarterback, 6'3", 200 pounds, a dual threat guy. Now, I figured if this were to happen, it would happen in the spring after the competition to kind of see where he finished up. But what this probably tells us is that Nico is flashing and looking really good, and Jackson's probably seeing the handwriting on the wall. You've got a guy that's making, you know, what, $8 million is the reported amount. And he's going, and he's seen him firsthand up close and personal, and he's seeing how he throws the ball and how he moves and how the coaches are reacting. He saw Joe Milton's game in the Orange Bowl, and he's going, man, I'm probably third, which is a really tough spot to be when you're a sophomore and the guy that possibly in front of you is a true freshman, you know, what, 9 months before season starts. So I can't hardly blame him. I think everybody wanted to see what he did in the spring, but the one positive on this is at least we know now. You know, you can't go into the season with 2 scholarship quarterbacks. That's just ridiculous. That's not going to happen. So they're going to have to look around the transfer portal. And I do not think this is an NIL deal problem, because if it was, they would solve it. I think it's a playing time issue and what position he's going to be in. And being third on the list, you don't want to be that. You know, not if you're really good. And this guy's a quality player that could play somewhere. Obviously, Indiana is very interested in him, and he would probably, you know, before too long become the starting quarterback. I don't know if he'd be the starter right away, but, you know, he'd have a lot better chance, in my opinion, than trying to go up against Joe Milton and a 5-star. Just my opinion. Now, we've got a lot of other stuff coming up. Saturday, we've got the Kentucky game, and I've been hearing rumors that Kentucky's John Calipari is not getting along with his AD, and that he had tried to raise $30 million for a basketball practice facility, basketball only, and had even gotten the money partially raised or fully raised from former Kentucky players in the NBA, which would not be that hard to do. And that the AD said, no, we're not doing that. And that he also wanted some more assistance because of the transfer portal, and the AD said no on that. That's the rumor. And that he's not even attending the basketball game. So there may be some bad blood there between the head coach and the AD. Now, I fully expect Kentucky to show up and ball out Saturday because, look, you know, everybody's dogging them and telling them what bums they are. And that's usually when you get your best performance out of true athletes. You know, they're not going to want to just show up and lay down. I don't see that. And Calipari is going to get them prepared. So expect a real good ball game against Kentucky Saturday at noon. And I've already told you this game's going to be like this.
Say when.
That's right. Now, we've got one other thing to discuss. There is a 5-star cornerback that's entered the transfer portal that I think the Vols should take a good hard look at, and that's Jaheim Singletary. Says he's moving on from Georgia. He entered the portal ahead of the 23 season. Former consensus 5-star out of Jacksonville. And The Vols were heavy in on him last year. 6'3", 175. Appeared in 2 games for Georgia. They call him a ball hawker. He's very athletic, of course. Look, he's a 5-star. He can probably do whatever he wants out there. But getting on the field when you're the Georgia Bulldogs, especially on defense, even for this guy, is not easy to do. It's just, look, Georgia's got the best defense in the country, and their starting cornerbacks are first-round draft picks. So getting on the field, I don't care if you are a 5-star, you're not gonna. That's why I didn't understand why players like him didn't choose the Vols where they could immediately start, but they also probably didn't expect the Vols to go 11-2 and to reach number 1 at one point. So I think the Vols ought to really consider going after this guy. We need some help in the secondary, and I know they're probably going to wait till the spring, but you get a chance at a 5-star, you ought to at least take a swing at it. Also in the transfer portal, Walker Merrill, it appears he's going to Wake Forest. So I think that's a good destination for him. He's a fine player. He's a 4-star. He's not getting on the field enough for the Vols, and I think he'll do well there. The ACC is a good spot for a 4-star wide receiver to go. He's going to get to play, and it's tough to get on the field with Tennessee. We've just got so many good wide receivers now. You know, you saw last year what we had. I mean, you had 3 unbelievable wide receivers. So this year we're going to probably have the same thing with Squirrel White, Brew McCoy, and Dante signed, and Ramel Keaton, and so on and so forth. There's just a lot to choose from there. So I don't blame Walker Merrill at all for transferring, and I think Wake Forest is a good spot for him. Last thing we need to talk about is our coach. I'm waiting on them to announce at some point that they've extended him onto some major contract, and I'm thinking it's going to be in the neighborhood of $9 million a year, probably 7-8 years, something like that, if I had to guess, where it graduates. And I don't know when that's going to happen, but as far as I'm concerned in the Vols, we need to do this.
Desire.
Settle! Settle, 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 settle!
That's right. Settle, settle, settle. We may need to do that with that 5-star cornerback too. But anyway, the Vols are going to be on the lookout for a experienced quarterback, probably as a backup role or to compete with Milton. You know, we'll see. Nico's going to be in the mix as well, but they're probably going to have to throw some NIL money in there too to get a decent quarterback, because you can't go into the year with 2 scholarship quarterbacks. I just don't see that happening. And I know we've got a couple of walk-ons there that are pretty good, but look, this is the SEC. You know, you've got to have the top of the line, ready to go guy. And right now we've only got 1 legit starter and a true freshman. And that's not going to get it done. So it's time. Houston, we have a problem, and we need to solve it. So not a shock here with Tayven entering the portal. I'm sure you're not shocked either. Timing's a little bit off, but look, it was going to happen at some point most likely, and it was 100% going to happen. Now we know that. And again, I think this means Nico must be awful good because he's gotten to see him firsthand. And athletes know. I'll just go ahead and tell you, as a former Division I player myself, not in football, in golf, you know, I could take a look at a person and watch them play golf, and I know whether they're better than me. You know, it's just a fact. And I think that's probably what Tayven realized. Plus the money and all that. I mean, he's, you know, the politics aren't good for him either. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols. And if you have not subscribed, it's right here on the left. A lot of you watch my videos, you don't subscribe. Just hit that little button. It's free. I would appreciate it. And right here on the right, YouTube throws a video right on there. It's my most recent one, very popular. Check that one out. And I hope you did like the content. Well, you probably don't like Tayven transferring, but anyway, I hope you did like the content. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.